Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today with me, I have the beautiful and talented Britt. How are you doing today, Britt?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, no problem. Britt Crisp, she is an actress. She is going to be in the upcoming series, Sin 13. What can you tell us about Sin 13 a little bit?
Well, long story short, it's basically like a spy espionage TV show. It's going to be based in Romania. The lead character is called Sin, and she is played by Shotzi Cadeau, who is just lovely. She is incredibly talented, but when it comes to the actual character herself, this character is kind of a remade spy. She's kind of made to fit perfectly into what the SIE, which is the Romanian equivalent of the CIA, she's reborn to be what they need her to be. She has suffered a really bad injury that just destroyed her mind, her memories, everything in the past. She doesn't know who she used to be. So the whole thing is now she's being remade. And I play Belika on the show, who is basically, she's an intelligence agent. What she does is she just really gives all the information, does the dissecting. She's the one that has to deal with like all the translating languages and all that kind of stuff and brings it to the big guys. I know that her goal is absolutely to be kind of like the head of the SIE someday. But she's kind of like seen as a glorified secretary, but she's too badass for that. And I think she's definitely going to show that in future episodes.
That's awesome. Do we have a premiere? I know things are kind of crazy right now with COVID and everything, but do we have a premiere date for this yet? Or
I know that we do. It'll be, I believe, in the next few weeks or so from today. And it'll be online at facet.tv. And it's going to be super cool. It should be available pretty soon. And we plan to have about 26 episodes total for this season. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really cool. Definitely COVID's thrown a couple of obstacles in the way, but things are pushing forward.
No, and that's incredible. Guys, follow Britt on Instagram. I have her link down here. As well as I'm going to have the facet.tv link. Follow my Instagram as well. I will give you any updates about when we're going to be airing for her, so that way you guys can check this out too. She's very proud of it. I'm very proud of her. Before we get started with this, though, I want to let you guys know, not only is she an amazing actress, she is also an amazing artist in general. Great painter. I'm going to have her Instagram as well. Some people can call it a hobby, but you could do that full time as well. You do great there. So you guys make sure you're checking this out. Very busy lady with a whole lot of stuff going on. So thank you for taking time out to join us and talk about some horror movies for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So let's get into it. Your first horror movie was?
Poltergeist. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic movie.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you remember how old you were the first time you watched it?
Oh my God, I was like 6. I was way too young to be watching a horror movie. The thing is, like, even back in those, I'm sure it came out in like the late 80s, early. And the thing is, that movie, to this day, still stands to be pretty freaking creepy. I love it so much. I honestly blame my mom for the fact that I love horror movies so much, because there was no filter on the TV. Anytime I walked in,
awesome.
It's there.
So with Poltergeist, is this a movie that like you kind of feel has stood the test of time? You still watch it occasionally, or was this kind of just
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I rewatch it pretty often, actually. It's one of those movies where like I love the development of the family. It's just one of those, like, just all the way around. I just really think it's a really well done movie. The remake can go in a whole nother, I don't even want to talk about that. I turned it off after 5 minutes. But the original still stands the test of time, and I don't think it needs to be touched, to be honest.
Well, see, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about the remake. And anybody that knows me knows I don't think remakes are inherently bad. I think that there are a lot of very good remakes, but I am absolutely on your side here. Me and my wife went to see the Poltergeist remake, and it wasn't so much that I hated it, but it was more it didn't grab. Yeah, it had rewatchability, and for it being a Poltergeist remake, you got to have something that I want to watch over and over again. So And I don't think it was so much a problem with the characters as much as it was just the script. It was just, there was nothing that really jumped out at you in the remake. So I'm completely on your side here. I was not a fan of the Poltergeist remake.
Yeah, it's one of those, I never blame the actors for writing that, because that's obviously control over that. But it definitely was one of those deals where it was such an icon to begin with. Why remake it? What's the point? They literally show the original movie, two parents getting high off their ass in like the first scene. Horrible. Like they're so cute together, and it's a loving family dynamic stuff, and then just spirals into something else. And on top of that, my favorite part is somehow even like their little, albeit cheesy now, but their CGI effects are still pretty impressive, especially in the time. Like the table sliding scene is, I don't know how they did it. You don't see any wires, you don't see any strings. It's great.
Sure. Well, see, have you watched on Shudder? They have Cursed Films. Have you watched that by any chance?
Shudder, I don't think so. Is it a streaming or is it an actual?
Yeah, Shudder's a streaming service. They have a show on there. You should check it out, because if you're a horror fan, like we've talked, I know that you're a big horror fan. Shudder is essentially a Netflix or Hulu or Prime that is only horror movies, and it's got original horror movies. It's got original horror series, and one of the series they have on there is called Cursed Films, and they dive into these movies that have had kind of a cursed past around them. And like they do the Twilight Zone, they do Poltergeist, and it's amazing to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff they talk about in Poltergeist because of all the, quote unquote evil things that happen to characters surrounding that movie. And being a Poltergeist fan, it's something that I'll text you and remind you. I think it's something you should really check out. I think it's something you would thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, heck yeah. Oh, I would love that. I mean, that's awesome. Like Netflix for just horror movies. That's right. Because Netflix, I love Netflix, but all year round, they don't have all the horror movies that I want, If I want to watch The Conjuring, I have to wait.
Yeah, I'm absolutely telling you. I think you would adore Shudder, and I think just like me, because I just got it a couple months ago, I think you'll be kicking yourself that you didn't get it earlier, because they even have like the original series, like Creep Show. They have a TV show, like a series of Creep Show, and it's pretty good. It doesn't hold up to the first two movies, obviously, but it holds its own. One thing I think we're going to disagree on, though, with Poltergeist is I like the first one, but the third one is one of my favorite horror films of all time.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a third one.
Yeah. And see, the third one is actually mired. Huh?
What's that? Sorry.
No, you're fine. The third one's actually mired in controversy because Heather O'Rourke, the little blonde girl, she actually died while filming that movie. And so they had to do a different ending, and a lot of people, that's another thing you'll see on that Cursed Films is, a lot of people were really upset with how the film ended because obviously she passed away and no one wanted to go back to set and finish it. So the studio just, put an ending on it. So it really gets a bad rep because of that. But obviously Heather O'Rourke, a star that just burned too bright, but it's one of those things where up until that, it's such a powerful performance by her, because she plays both her, her little good her and the evil version of her inside the mirrors and stuff. And it's very good. I would highly recommend you checking out Poltergeist 3. I think you would very much enjoy that as well.
I'll probably have to. That you sold me on it. Just as long as the second one, I got so mad. I got irrationally upset though. I think it's one of those things where I'm such a loyalist to the first one because it was like it's the first one. It's like the Insidious series. We're to remake the Insidious series. I'd be like, no way. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see it. It's perfect, So I would definitely have to check that out. The second one I just cut off because I was being a stickler about it.
That was me with House too. House is my baby. Like that's the movie that it's everything to me. Like growing up, that was my favorite movie. I've watched that movie. I wore out the VHS when I was a kid.
Oh, gosh. That's awesome.
So with Poltergeist, when you think of the movie Poltergeist, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
To be honest, nothing scary. Just this house is cleansed. Like that's the first. Because that woman was so bizarre. I remember as a kid, I thought she was just like the craziest woman, but I am in love with her. She makes the movie. You have to have the old lady that comes in and like tells you what, she does it perfect.
Caroline.
still in this house. Like she's so. Oh my God, I love her.
You nailed it. You totally nailed it.
A lot of years of practice.
So now we're talking about what pops in your head, but let's talk about scenes. Which scene do you think scared you the most as a kid?
Oh gosh, definitely the clown one.
The clown.
Like when the little boy wakes up, he's kind of looking at the clown. He's like, all right, we're good. And then all of a sudden he's not there. And I think honestly that spurred my fear of clowns at a very young age, and dolls. Clowns and dolls, and clown dolls don't even talk to me about it. I can't. I refuse.
Yeah, that's a scene that gets talked about a lot. I don't want to spoil any more cursed films, but something crazy happened with that scene as well. So make sure that when you watch, I got to send you this link so you can watch this. I'm so excited to find out what you think about this because, yeah, I'm a kind of a purist like you, and something I've talked about a lot on the channel is horror fans. In general, it becomes, when you start talking with horror fans, it's more like a family. It really is. Like, we go to conventions together. We talk about horror movies, what we like and dislike, but we can do it civilly. It's always that civil agreement. And so it's something that I love to spread the knowledge of horror, what I know about horror, so I can talk to other people about it as well. So that's something that I'm very excited about.
Me too. Honestly, I can't even lie. I completely agree when you say like it's like a family. Honestly, that's like a first date question for me. If I'm a first date, hey, what's your favorite horror movie? Let's go. But if they ever say, I'm not into it, I'm like, well, we could have been so good. Bye.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will talk to you in a little bit. I'm going to get out of the car and have fun.
Don't even bother. I'll just open the door. It's fine.
Well, that actually leads me into my next question. We were talking about your first horror movie. Let me go scream on you. What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, that's fun. It really is. I first thought, just because if we're going to go by favorite based on how times I've watched it, probably The Conjuring, the first Conjuring. And I say that strictly because, sorry, there's a loud garbage truck. I'm working. Do you not see me? Important is happening here. Okay, anyway.
Inconsiderate assholes, man.
Inconsiderate, how dare you? I quit. Anyway, with The Conjuring, I have watched that movie, no joke, at least 27 times, at least. I love that movie so much. And the only reason I watch it so many times is because there's one scene in it that I can't get over. Every single time I see it, every hair on my body stands on end. I can't stand it. It's the one where the girl's sleepwalking and she's knocking against the dresser, and then the other girl looks up and it's the mom on top of the dresser. I don't know what it is about that scene, but every single time I watch it, no matter how many times, I've even gone on YouTube and put it on repeat so I can break the bone, but I can't do it. I can't know what it is. I hate it.
See, what we're talking about The Conjuring, real quick, let me throw in my 2 cents. The scene that got me, and I mean, it fucking got me, because I was watching this movie downstairs on my projector. I got a big projector in my living room, and I was alone, and it's dark, and I'm watching it, and the guy walks in the other room, and the lady with the wrist is like, look what she made me do. I'm like, oh,
yes! Oh, that one must be up too.
Like, I'm in my house by myself, screaming and kicking down in my living room. Like, yeah, that scene got me. Like, it's weird, because usually, like, I really liked the Insidious, the first couple of those. I really liked the first Conjuring. But see, when it comes to like Annabelle and the Nun, I don't know. I appreciate the expansion of the Conjuring universe. I really do. But like the Nun did nothing for me. I was so bummed out because I thought it had potential to be such a scary and menacing presence, but the movie was just so slow, and it didn't do it for me. And it's one of those things, it's like Starbucks or the Big Bang Theory. Like, I really want to like it so bad, but I just couldn't like it no matter how hard I tried.
That's fair. That's the thing. I didn't actually end up seeing The Nun, but I do distinctly remember we all went to go see like the It remake in theaters. They played The Nun right before, like the preview for it, and I swear to God, like, I heard the most shrill scream behind me during that commercial, because it must have scared the dog out of somebody. And I was like, I kind of want to watch it, but I will admit, I'm also kind of a sucker for slow burns. Like I like the ones where like it does, it immerses you into the experience. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like The Right's a real kind of example of that, where there's a lot of like just slow burn. The big moments they're big. You know what I mean?
See, and I don't mind slow burns. Like a slow burn that I like a lot, that I think it's underappreciated because of the lead actor, was The Woman in Black. And I think a lot of people underappreciated that because Daniel Radcliffe was in it, and you know, oh, Harry Potter in a horror movie, but he absolutely killed that role.
Yeah, that was a fantastic. I love that.
Yeah,
one.
see, that was a slow burn that I like. But The Nun, it's like a slow burn, and the wick is burning, and the wick is burning, and the fireworks are dud. Nothing happens at the end.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean,
makeup is
just not for me. A lot of people liked it, and kudos to them. I'm glad they did. Just not for me. It's one of the things that I just couldn't get into.
Yep. Oh, I totally understand that. No, that's awesome. I will say the Nun makeup is freaking terrifying. Like just in that, I'm a sucker for SFX makeup too. Like I love good SFX makeup. Like even back to, it's not necessarily horror, but like to the Beetlejuice with like and like the makeup is just so distinct, and it's just one of those things where like it's simplistic, but it's, oh yeah, and then the finger eyes dude. They went, oh my gosh, it's awesome.
And I'm with you. It's one of those things where I've always been a big fan of practical effects over CGI, and I'm with you. The SFX makeup to me is huge. It can really honestly make or break a film to me. If we were talking about, I got a really good friend of mine named Greg Wheeler. We just did an episode, and we were talking about how the Thing prequel from 2011 was actually ruined because of the CGI they did in it. And if you watch on YouTube, he was gracious enough to send it to me. They had it all done practically, and it looked really good. And then the studio came in, and you know, the suits came in, and we're like, nope, we're going to use CGI, and it completely butchered. And I had never seen the prequel to the Thing. I'd never watched it because I heard nothing but bad things about it. And watching these practical effects on YouTube makes me want to watch the movie, but then I know I'm not going to get those effects. So I'm hoping for one day we're going to get like a producer's cut or a director's cut that'll have that CGI in it to give the fans what they want. Because if you look at the original Thing, that's one. I'm sorry, the remake from 1982, not the original one from 55, but the remake from 82. That's one of the best practical effect movies in the history of the world. I mean, it is just that, to me, John Carpenter's score and the practical effects in that movie make it easily a top 10 horror film for me.
Nice. Yeah, heck yeah. I really feel CGI makes or breaks a film too. I will say, like with the It remakes, the first one, the second one, I felt that those were the remakes that deserved. I thought the original was so, I of course with the times, I'm sure people thought it was, you know, scary, but as of, you know, 2020, you know, when out, it just didn't really, it that didn't need to be done the way that it was, and it was fabulous. But I will say the only thing that I can say bad about it was in the second one, there was just CGI, and it was too obvious. Like, oh, computers, and that it messed with me. Like I was so on board until I saw it, and then that's the only argument as why it's not phenomenal. But it's just, I'm totally CGI.
And the thing a lot of people forget about the original one with Tim Curry was that was not a full-length feature film. That was actually a made-for-TV movie. So they didn't have the big budget to go out and do. And that's why it's a lot more, you know, tamed down. Like the Georgie kill at the beginning and a lot of the language is all tamed down because it was all made for, I believe it was ABC. I could be wrong. I was wrong once in the 90s, so it could happen again. But, you know, you got this made-for-TV movie, and the only thing, because I've talked about it a lot, I'm a big fan of It Chapter 1 and 2. Obviously, you know, I got the shirt. But I think that Pennywise, as the Tim Curry Pennywise, is the better Pennywise, just because if I'm looking at these two, if I look at this one or that one, as a little kid, I would actually approach the Tim Curry Pennywise, the clown. I wouldn't think he was scary and terrifying, so he would lure me in with that false sense of security. The Bill Skarsgård one, I would look at him and shit my pants. Like, I wouldn't go anywhere near him.
I actually, you know what? That's a really fabulous argument. I will say, to counter your argument, I think that what they really focused on in like the It remakes was Pennywise was your literal embodiment of your biggest fear. So my fear is a clown. He's going to be the scariest, creepiest freaking. I don't because I think that's what it's up. It's not just like the souls of children. It's like I feed off of fear. That is
Right.
what I'm doing. And if I can get it at its peak, oh, I'm gonna be dinner. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
really that's the whole thing. So I will say with the Tim Curry thing, I would argue that if that was the case, it would have to be more like give me the kid's soul. And with the remake, it was more. And I really
Sure.
think with the Skarsgård version of
Mm.
it's oh my god, he's terrible.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything bad about Skarsgård. That guy took the role. He owned the role. He did it phenomenally. I like how a lot of the stuff he did with his eyes, he did practically. That was really him. It was no effects done. Brilliant. And when he wasn't the clown and he was scratching his face, like Bill Skarsgård is a phenomenal actor and he played the role great. I just mean looks in general. Like Tim Curry, obviously, I'd see that clown and be like, oh, honk your nose. And then he would eat my face. So. So I always ask one last question before we end these. When it comes to Poltergeist, I do everything on a skull rating. 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. Where do you put the original Poltergeist on your skull rating?
All right, I'm going to give you my thought process here, which you didn't ask for, but you're getting.
That's fine.
I will say Poltergeist is one of the original horror movies that still stands the test of time, in my opinion. I also feel that it inspired a lot when it comes to CGI using horror, as well as effects, as well as, just showing a story as a being scary. It shows family. So with that being said, I'm going to give it an 8.5 skulls out of 10, just because I really feel it can't be touched and it shouldn't be touched,
That's fair. No, that's a fair ranking. I appreciate it. I appreciate that ranking, and I appreciate you going in depth as to why you gave that ranking.
You'll always get some depth, ridiculous explanation. Don't worry about that.
I love it. Everybody, thank you. Don't go anywhere yet, Britt. Remember, Britt Crisp, I got her information down here in the description. Make sure you're checking her out. Send 13 as soon as I get any updates. Check with Britt on Instagram. Check with me on Instagram. As soon as she updates me, I promise I'll update everybody. I'm so excited for you. I'm glad that you're going to be able to show the world what you got. Can't wait for you to take over the Russian CIA. That's going to be pretty sweet.
Oh, I'm ready.
Don't go anywhere. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm Ken Sledge. Remember, guys, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.